This report's being made by Whodunit. It's a murder case on the European Bell. Interview date is October 11th, 1935. Person being interviewed and evidence collected. Transcript of the interview between Whodunit and Carrie Baggs, a porter on the train. Please tell me what happened earlier.
I was doing my daily rounds, all of the compartments, to find out if anyone needed anything.
Did you visit all of the compartments in carriage 1?
That was my plan, but everything came to a stop when I reached compartment number 5.
What happened there?
I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. I have a master key, so I let myself in to see what the compartment needed, if it needed cleaning or new bed linen.
And what did you find?
I found a dead body. It was really shocking, I can tell you.
Was there anyone else in the compartment when you entered?
Nope, just the dead guy.
Did you recognize him?
Yes, it was that famous pianist, Reed Music.
Was that his compartment?
Oh, yes. Everyone knew that was his compartment, number 5. Everyone on the train was talking about him, really looking forward to his recital tomorrow evening in the lounge car.
Did you notice anything else?
Well, it was a bit of a mess. There was sheet music everywhere. I guess that's because the window was open. So much wind had blown it all over the place.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think you should probably go and get a stiff drink to get over the shock.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This is the official police report being filed by Officer Whodunit. The case is a murder case on the European Bell from Paris to Moscow on October 11th, 1935. This is regarding the evidence that's been collected. I attended compartment 5 of carriage 1 on the European Bell as a death had been discovered. In the compartment was the body of 45-year-old male Reed Music. The victim was pronounced dead by Dr. Pathologist, a fellow passenger. A large amount of blood was in the evidence, and it did not appear that the victim died of natural causes. The following items were located at the scene: a dagger, a pistol, a paperweight, a bottle, an umbrella, scissors, a frying pan, a wrench, and a shovel. Those items have been removed and will need to be examined in due course. All passengers on the train have been advised that they must not disembark until inquiries are completed. The connecting doors between the carriages have been locked until about 20 minutes ago due to a key malfunction, so only the occupants of the 13 compartments of carriage 1, myself included, are considered suspects in this suspicious death. Signed and dated, Whodunit. Hi there, this is Whodunit. Further reporting, we have an interim death report that's been filed on Reed Music. He was 45 years of age and 70 inches tall. This report was filed by Pathologic as part of his investigation. It reads, quote, I am a doctor who has previously worked with the police on numerous murder cases, so I was asked to examine the body of the above-named victim. The body was examined in the victim's apartment Number 5. Under somewhat extraordinary circumstances. I found a penetrating wound at the base of the head, just above the top of the neck. The hole was approximately 1 inch wide and had penetrated to a depth of 4 inches, piercing the brainstem. A relatively small amount of blood surrounded the wound. The blood had almost certainly come out at the time the item was stabbed into the victim's head, but little more would have escaped after death, as the deceased was found face down. In my professional opinion, the cause of death was stabbing with an object approximately 4 inches long and 1 inch wide. The time of death is estimated to have been approximately 6 p.m. A curly blonde hair was found on the back of the deceased's head, although the deceased had black hair. At the current time, the provenance of this hair is unclear. The angle of the wound suggests that the perpetrator was of medium height. My examination of the items removed from the murder scene earlier leads me to believe he was murdered with the pointy end of an umbrella. This concludes the interim death report by Dr. Pathologist.
Hi there. Al aboard here. I have the statements of interviews that I'm going to share with you in the murder case. These are confidential documents. These brief interviews were conducted with the 7 suspects in the death of Reed Music to establish their whereabouts in the time leading up to the murder. Cam Shaft's statement was, "I was in the lounge. I was there since lunch, reading and looking at the scenery. I didn't leave until we reached Bucharest." Pathologic said, "I stayed in my compartment. That's number 6, all afternoon. I was leaning out the window. I love feeling the wind in my face. I went and sat in the lounge when we left Mazopetcherd, then went back to my apartment at just before 5. I know it was that time as I checked my watch." Greta Client's statement was, "My compartment is number 9. I stayed in there doing a crossword most of the afternoon. I went for a stroll when the train was stopped at the station with the unpronounceable name Busfo something, and went to chat to the driver. I returned to my compartment just as the train was pulling into Bardand, and only came out when we arrived in Bucharest." And here is Hugh Dunnett's statement. "I left my compartment, number 2, when we were at Slalnak, and went to the kitchen to chat to the train cook. She's really pretty. I must have been there ages, as it was 6 p.m. by the train clock when I came out and went back to my compartment." Bob Cutt stated, "I stayed in my compartment, that's the one opposite Renee's, all afternoon. I was so tired I slept until we arrived in Bucharest." Anna Taka said, "I was in my compartment, number 3, reading a romantic novel. I was there since we left Karkag until we arrived at Elazd." Mullah stated, "I was in my compartment next to the porter's office all afternoon. I shut my window on account of the smuts. I only came out when we reached Bucharest." Hey, Al aboard. Back here with you, I've got some witness statements to share with you. This was an interview done by Hugh Dunnett. Carrie Baggs, the train porter, approached Hugh Dunnett to say he might have some useful information. Hugh asked, "I understand you heard something interesting earlier today. Please tell me what you heard." Carrie responded, "Yes, it was 4:30. I was in my little office having a rest and airing it a bit, even though it was cold out. I heard voices floating in through the open window. It was that Reed Music. He's got a really identifiable voice. And two other people. They sounded maybe Indian and Spanish. They were talking about the food they have been served so far on the trip. Two of them said it was lovely, but then Reed started getting really loud, shouting, 'Everything's too hard. Crusty bread, crunchy toppings on stuff, solid toffees. They're no good for my teeth. Ever since that psychopath dentist, Moolah, treated me during my tour in Canada, I've been in agony. Two of my teeth have come out, and the rest are really sensitive and feel like they could liable to snap in half when I eat anything but soup. Do you know what? If I lay my hands on her, I'm likely to stab her in the heart with my fork. Okay, I'm getting really upset. Please, get out of my compartment." Carrie Baggs continued to comment that he had to go and start preparing the dining car for the evening's meal, so he closed his window and left. "Thank you very much. That could be very useful." "You're welcome. I really hope it helps." I also have to share with you a disciplinary report, although I don't agree with it. This is concerning the employee Al Aboard, the occupation ticket inspector. The report reads, "Our attention was drawn by a vigilant rail passenger to the fact that Al Aboard was somewhat derelict in their duties on the journey of the European flyer from Venice to Istanbul. It was reported that not only did the inspector fail to actually check many of the tickets, but that they spent a lot of time asleep in their compartment. In addition, a distinct odor of whiskey was frequently detected on the breath. Just as the train pulled into Istanbul, Al Aboard was involved in an altercation with a male passenger, Stan Dupp, which resulted in Mr. Dupp suffering a broken jaw and a short stay in hospital. As this is the first complaint against Al Aboard, despite the seriousness of this event, we have chosen not to dismiss. However, this serves as a final warning. Should any more complaints come to light, they will no longer be considered suitable for employment with cross-continental trains." Well, all I can say about that is I don't even like whiskey.